Boom, hey internet. Clarity is power in business, especially in apparel and fashion and clothing lines. It's absolutely pertinent when you're launching a brand. We're gonna talk about it briefly in this video right now. Let's go. Jon Phenom, clothing brand mentor. I've been doing apparel professionally for over 24 years. On this past trip to the Philippines where I celebrated New Year's, check me on Instagram and follow me there as well. But I was talking to a lot of people, a lot of expats who run businesses out there. I actually get into a ton of conversations about business, as I do believe launching a clothing line is one of the toughest businesses to run and operate and launch successfully. I think there's so many moving parts to it that it really makes you become a better entrepreneur. Whether that company works out and you bring those skills to the next part, it really makes you sharpen up on a lot of different parts of owning a business. Within that conversation, we talked about a ton of weaknesses that I believe a lot of creatives have, right? Fashion lines and clothing lines are based in people who like to dream and people who are typically artists. Now, I can speak in depth about that. The beginning of my love affair with apparel was more with personal style rather than vanity labels. And I'm still in love with the creative process. There's so much new technology that makes it easier to get to an end result, but still using different techniques and different finishes for a garment can really change the way you have a perception for a brand aesthetically. Having said that, as an artist to possibly another creative, you've got to have everything organized and have logistical benchmarks that you can use to track your progress as a business. So as Tony Robbins has quoted many times in the past, clarity is power. So with apparel, or with NONBETA, my clothing company, I can say a couple things about it. I can say that I really want to make a statement through the collections that I drop in the future, or I really want to make a commentary with all the collaborations with different influencers, athletes, musicians that I'm going to do collabs with, surrounding around or having to do their version or graphics or any kind of drops that I'm doing in coordination with those type of artists. And even with the media surrounding all of that, all the video we're gonna do, all the reels and TikToks and Instagram posts that we're gonna do about those drops and about those products are gonna be a way for me to have conversations with my audience. But if we strip it all the way down as a business, I'm going to make t-shirts for $8, $8 to $10, maybe 12, but I'm gonna make them for 8 and sell them for 40. In its basic unit, this is how I'm going to make money. There's two portions of my business plan. I'm going to sell direct to a customer, and that could be online or later working with brick and mortar retail. And the other portion of the company is doing merch services. So those collaborations that you will see with NONBETA are gonna turn into me doing either full service or partial, but be able to do vertical merch services for any kind of influencer, actor, musician, anyone who's notable, an athlete, all those type of things. Also, if you might ask, what is your clothing company about? For me, it's very easy to see that the hashtag we use on everything is "this is not a test." So NONBETA for me, this is not a test is what that means. Also, there's a secondary meaning. With alpha and beta, you can go the competitive or the sportswear route where it's like we are not in second place. So these two themes can go into an abundance of themes and abundance of garments, and makes it possible for me to do collaborations and also be very flexible with the type of product we put out in the future. And my goal eventually is to make it a multi-million-dollar brand, but in the interim and for this year and for the next several months, there's a lot of bite-sized milestones that we're going to meet, most of them involving doing collaborations with bigger and bigger figures. But this video is not about me. I'm only using that as a practical example. My tool for NONBETA in this channel, as this channel is concerned anyway, is that I could use it as a real life example of showing you how I'm launching the line and having it meet different standards of success. So for you and your brand, do you have a clear meaning? What is your unfair advantage that you're bringing to the market? What are your short-term and your long-term goals? At the beginning of the launch, which is my course that kind of documents all of these big and small questions about launching a brand. One of the first episodes is talking about a brand guide or a brand plan, where we talk about a lot of these things. Highly recommend you check that out on CBA. But beyond that, beyond just having a PDF or a deck presentation that you can send to someone, do you know it? Do you know what that clarity is? What the mission is? Because if you do not have a target, it's 2000% you're never going to hit it. So the whole reason I'm making this video for my creatives and future brand owners is to let you know, the homework is in really knowing where the mission is and having clarity. You should have a plan. Now, can the plan change? Of course it is going to change for sure. But that still means you should have a plan. Like, you should have a map, right? And the map can change, you can redraw the map, but have a map, have an idea of where you're going and be able to verbally articulate that. In other words, just know it in your head, apart from whatever you might put in a deck presentation. Make sure it's part of the ethos, the very basic ethos of your brand. Bookkeeping and organizing, like the video that I dropped here about tools that I use for a clothing brand, a lot of that is not the sexy part of owning a brand. It's not as exciting as creating and drawing and artistry and crafting, but it's important if you have a long-term vision of growing the brand to a certain degree. So I intend to grow mine to a multi-million-dollar level, but if you just wanted to make a salary or enough to replace your job, you should still have your major goals set in place. There's a lot of gray area and things you have to learn along the way when you're launching a clothing brand. So if you don't know how you're gonna win, what your unfair advantage is, and what your plan is to stand out from the rest of the brands that exist, you might wanna stop and nail those things down. It's as important as coming up with a good name for your brand and a good logo. Hope that helps. More questions, just drop them all down below. You could hit me at this email here as well. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.